Welcome to Through the Rough, a place where real-life people share the real-life experiences that have shaped us into who we are today.
Welcome back to Through the Rough. This is episode 7 of our 11-part series.
I'm more, and my brother's the same way. Yeah, I picked up girls and stuff like that after, but it's not like my buddy who's like, man, I'd be slaying them,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's not me. Like, I used to work a club, right? And of course, I hated dealing with drunks. So I would stand behind the bar so I could have a barrier to keep me away from the stupid questions.
Yeah.
And this is the thing I hate. First of all, parents, don't point to a cop and tell your kid, if you don't act good, he's going to arrest you. I hated that. Because first of all, it's going to teach that kid to fear you.
To fear cops.
Yeah. And second of all, learn how to discipline your own kid.
Yeah.
Right. And the other thing I hated was, do you ever shoot somebody? You ever kill somebody?
But people ask you that?
Yeah.
Life has no value.
Yeah. You do it because you need to make sure you go home. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, when he got in that shooting, he wasn't the same afterward for a while, because it affects him, where some people, it doesn't affect them at all. It's, don't ask. And, and I made a joke one time, a buddy of mine got in a shooting and shot a lady with a knife,
He shot her?
Yeah, she had a knife and was crazy and was kind of coming at him. And, and that's the other thing as well. That's the other stupid thing. Well, why didn't you shoot the knife out of her hand?
How the fuck are you going to do that, dude?
Well, you know what? Well,
she's waving it around or what,
Well, because they think we're huge. Like I told you, most cops we're talking about Houston.
Yeah.
Because my buddy who got shot, my classmate, he ended up working at the pistol range, the last 15 something years of his career at the pistol range, or 20, however long he's been up there. And he goes, yeah, you see the same people at the end of the month who can barely qualify, show up at the end of the month to qualify, and they can barely do it. So, so how are you going to get this guy who can barely shoot to try and shoot somebody a knife in the hand?
Swinging a knife around.
Or shoot them in the leg, and then you hit the artery and they bleed out anyway.
And then you kill them.
Son of a bitch! Yeah, so, because we're not trained that way either. We're trained to hit center body mass because we're trained to eliminate the threat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
as fast as possible.
Yes. And so I made a joke, he got in a shooting and killed a girl or whatever, and I took it to heart from this day forward. And I made a joke about him shooting her. And the sergeant pulled me aside and goes, don't you ever make a joke about somebody involved in a shooting, because you don't know how they're going to react to it.
Their psyche is completely different than yours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, it's not a joking matter, And I went, wow, man, I never really thought about it. But, again, I had 4 or 5 years on.
Yeah.
I'm there,
You still young, buck.
At that point, at that moment, is that, like, when do you start slowing down?
I started slowing down, when my jobs changed. Like, when I promoted to sergeant, but I still was over a proactive squad, and then when I first promoted and I was over the squad, I would still go out and run and gun and jump out on people and arrest people. But then I started thinking, well, this is not my job anymore. My job is to be here for you.
Now you got a team you're responsible for.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And if I'm at the jail because I arrested somebody and you
can't be responsible for your team.
And you get into something, how can I be there for you?
Yeah.
Now you have to rely on maybe a sergeant who might not agree with what we do, or who's maybe not, I don't want to say there's good ones, there's bad ones.
Doesn't exactly, they might be stuck with a sergeant that doesn't exactly like your playbook or your
scheme. And how we do things and
and he doesn't see your superstars as your superstars.
Yeah, and then you're taking me away from what I want to do. Because your sergeant's out. And so I started slowing down then and realizing I have to be here for my guys. And so that's when but I would still run with them.
Let's. I don't want to get ahead of our schedule with the way this is flowing. Fuck, we're 3.5 hours in, man. 3 hours and 40 minutes already.
And we haven't even got to me after 6
know.
I
years.
told you this is going to be a 5-hour episode, man. And I hope people stick around. Honestly, follow, subscribe, like, comment, leave comments, leave questions. Matt is 100% available to me anytime I want him. No,
Somewhat.
me and Matt are very, very, very good friends. Our history comes from about a 10 to 15 year background in video gaming. That's how we first met. So we're friends on text message and obviously in the video game world. So if
And
you do
in
have
person.
and in person, yes, Matt was in our wedding, or not in our wedding, but
No.
at our wedding.
Came to the wedding, me and the
Yeah.
wife. Got
And
stranded
Matt
out.
is in person with us today.
Got stuck in the middle of nowhere in a fucking cornfield
Oh
or
my
something.
God.
No, right?
Apparently, Uber in Omaha runs one way. Thank God for your coworker at the time.
Yeah,
took us home.
I was
Or-
highly distracted, so I'm
Yeah, yeah.
sorry I wasn't there.
I didn't even think about that. I should have rented a car, not thinking,
But
yeah.
but Matt is very available. He's accessible. So if you have a question, you have a comment, throw it in.
Yeah.
throw
let
it
us
in.
know.
Throw it on Spotify. Throw it on the website. Reach out to us. Throw it anywhere that you listen to this, and we'll get the question to Matt, and then I can very likely have Matt answer it in person, or a recording of Matt answering the question, or
Because I don't think I'm going to fly up here for an answer.
I can do phone on
Yeah, I
this on my deck. So yeah, but anyway, let's keep the conversation going. But in the meantime, we're going to take a 5-minute break and grab a drink, maybe use the bathroom real quick, and we'll be right back. Was that long enough?
I think
You guys
so.
need more time?
No, I think we're good. Welcome back.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm staying till Sunday, man.
I
went
know.
out- I just got to make sure I'm on my flights.
We're gonna have a fucking 4-part series by the time we're done with this.
With
That's not, we take these little bathroom breaks and then we get on our tangents.
I know. We started
Without
talking
the
about we're like,
mic or
okay,
the
we
headset,
gotta
we
stop.
just keep going. It's like, oh man, we got to turn it back on.
we got to talk about that.
But now you're coming up on a new role.
Yeah, so I did 6 years on nights being a patrolman. Then I got on a squad. At the time, it was called Divisional Nuisance Abatement, DNA. The sergeant of the squad was an old partner of my dad's back in the day when he was on one of these proactive units. Back then, they called them DART squads. And him and my dad and this sergeant, who's now my sergeant, were partners. He tells me that my dad saved his life. And so, because they got in a big fight with the guy where the guy was going for his gun, and my dad ran up there and, put the guy in the hospital for 6 months. And
Dang.
because, they bought dope from the guy, and then the fight was on, and my dad went to go get the car, and then they started fighting. And the sergeant was an old Golden Glove boxer.
Yeah.
But, he's a little tiny guy, but the fight was on. And then my dad heard a shot because the guy was fighting with the guns. And so when my dad runs over there, his partner, who became my new sergeant, was like yelling at my dad, "Shoot him. He's going for my gun. Shoot him, shoot him." And my dad was like, he couldn't, he's like, "Man,
Clearly get
a good
yeah.
shot,
Mhm.
And he's like, "Man, I don't want to hit my partner." So he hit the guy in the head with his pistol and he bent the trigger guard. That's how hard my dad hit him.
Holy
I
shit.
think he just says once, I only hit him. And it's funny because when I would hear my dad's sides all the time. Well,
Yeah.
when I got on and then I'd meet these old heads,
You'd hear the other
I'd hear the other side.
Yeah.
And then I'd approach my dad and he's like, "Oh, I don't remember that." No, yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever."
He was a little harder than he thought he was.
Yeah. And, and my dad, he's like 6'2" or something. He's got like size 13 feet. He's got these big feet,
He's a
right?
big guy.
Like Sideshow Bob
Yeah.
feet, and so he just, and then I've always heard that side of the story from my dad. Well, now that I'm working for the sergeant, I'm hearing his side of it, right? And so my dad tells me, he's like, "Yeah, so we hit him and he gets off, and then Ronnie works the body." I didn't mean to mention his name, but works his body because he was a Gold Glover, and just like teeing off on him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Man, I've never seen somebody, work the body bag like that ever." And so then I hear my sergeant's side of it, and he's like, "Man, your dad was like kicking him like he was punting a football, just right in his nuts, whap, whap, And so needless to say, like I said, and the squad, they didn't want me to come over, like the other officers. They didn't want me to come over there because he's like, "Man, that guy's dick. He doesn't say hi to us. He doesn't,
And they're talking about you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like I said, I'm kind of guarded. If I don't know you, even like fellow officers, if I don't know you, I don't talk to you.
Yeah.
It's just the way I am. And that's why, once I get past that and like, one of my good friends who got us into skiing and stuff, he's like, yeah, you just got to get past that crap, dude. And then he realized, no, he's a good dude, but at the time they're like, man, screw him. We don't want him, and then, but like the guys that were on nights with me that were on different squads on days with them were like, nah, man, he's a good dude. Don't worry about it. He's going to fit in. And so go to the squad and we're divisional nuisance abatement. So we're dealing with like quality of life issues. We're supposed to go out and deal with the homeless. And we had a crazy captain, and the way he dealt with homeless was we're going to arrest them. And he came up with a path that they would have to drive. And this happened before I got there. And
so arresting them just to get them out.
yeah, get him out of his area. Because like I said, Midtown changed by then. We had all the townhomes coming in, and so all these people moving in, not looking at the neighborhood before they moved in. And they're like, well, I got all these homeless transient people walking around my house, breaking into my cars, breaking into our house, stealing, stuff off my porch. Don't leave your garage open or people are going to steal you.
Yeah.
And, so they're complaining to the captain. So part of the deal was that we're going to deal with this, And so he came up with a route that they had to do. And then, we'd cover narcotics when narcotics would come out there and do street level deals and, where the officers would buy dope from the corners. And then, of course, you had a big male homeless prostitution problem there. And because a lot of people, drug addicts, of course, they got to make their money somehow. So they revert to prostitution. These guys who get out of prison, TDC the Greyhound bus station was in the area at the time. And once a month, TDC bus would drop off the inmates, and like the ones that are still on parole, give them a card. Here's your parole officer, call them. And the guys who did flat time, well, thanks for your time. You're free to go. And so they would just kind of hang out in that area. And because there's crack there, and, you have your dope dealer from the 3rd Ward that would come across the freeway, it was only a couple miles from the 3rd Ward. And, so they would, part of our deal was we would have to go out there and pick up the prostitutes. And so that was part of our deal, going out to pick up these male prostitutes. And so you'd have some of these prison swole guys out there, and you're asking them to, for $20 to blow you, or, or whatever.
As a kind of like undercover stingy, or
yeah, we'd be undercover, we'd just be in plain clothes, driving a cool car, pulling up to the corner under the big shade tree at 2AM in San Jacinto, where they'd hang out.
Is that hard as a motherfucker to do?
It's different, but no, I mean. But again,
was it weird, like the first time you ever did it, where you're like, God, this is so fucking
well,
weird?
you forget, I did it when I was 14 with my dad.
Yeah,
I mean, that was like 4 hours ago when I told that story, but this time I didn't laugh and I had to do it. But yeah, it's still kind of weird because then, you talk and then you pick the guy up and then, he's in the car with you as you're driving, and then you have your cover behind you watching you for safety issues. And then which our bus signal was always the opposite turn signal.
So you'd use the wrong turn signal, like put it on right and take a left.
Yeah. And then that way the guy behind your cover was like, okay, it's a deal, and then we'd get stopped on traffic and they'd arrest them for prostitution.
And they would arrest you as well in that.
Nah.
No,
no, it's just by that time.
But you didn't care. Like, okay.
Because people, by that time, if they see it, they're like, okay, yeah, he's probably law.
Then you drive around more looking for blowjobs from big swole prison dudes.
Yeah, and then we do it again. And, and one time, man, I pull up to a corner and kind of look at this guy, and he kind of runs to my window, and I go, hey, man, what's up? And he does, I'm deaf sign.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I mimic him blowing me. Then I rub my fingers together like I got cash, and he goes, and I said, get on in, dude.
Oh, my Lord.
And so I made that deal.
Oh, my Lord.
And when you pull his rap sheet, that was not his only one. So, I mean, that's what he does. He's a homeless, prostitute. That's a crack addict, but he's a deaf mute.
That is fucking
There's
crazy.
so many things with that.
I couldn't imagine being in that world.
And then, of course, I'm driving with the signal on, and they're laughing at me because we would do that. Hey, let's keep him in the car a little longer.
It'll make you feel like
he gets
I'm
molested.
like,
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord.
And then, of course, because,
like,
we're goofballs.
Come on, assholes. Let's get going.
Stop this. And then, of course, he's giving me this googly eyes. And I'm
Like,
like,
oh god.
because,
He's like, you are quite handsome.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't say it like that. He's like,
Yeah.
well, you don't see me sign languaging.
and so, my story too is like, hey man, I'm not gay, but I got some, I got some rocks back at my hotel room, and I'll get high while you blow me, dude. That's the only way I can get off with you. And of course they're fiends, and like, yeah, I'll give you a bump, dude. I'll share it with you. And that was my spiel.
No shit. And it worked.
Yeah, this one of the guys I worked with, man, he showed up in his wife's jogging shorts
Oh my god.
and like one of her tank tops and a fucking dildo, and went out picking him up.
Oh
Man, we're 3 hours and 47 minutes and shit just got real.
And I mean,
I'm going to put a disclaimer at the beginning. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around.
and I mean, we would,
yeah, you're like, I mean, I'm sure it worked.
yeah, I mean, we had to do what we had to do.
It's funny because they're like all this macho bullshit. They go, we're not going to fucking get our mental health. We're macho. We're macho. Hey, can you suck my dick for some rock?
Hey, man, however you had to make the case.
It's not exactly. It's just like, well, man, you guys, that's a hell of a spectrum. That's a hell of a spectrum.
Yeah, and of course we all laughed, and, or and other times we would just like act like we're the homeless transient population, walk around the area with them, and then
Get Johns and stuff, or just more.
just whatever we could do.
Yeah.
And like spot dope or whatever, spot the dope dealers and able to call in, the units to, and then we would use a jump out van on that instead of the patrol cars.
Like a jump out van is where you got a bunch of guys like
in a van,
just kinda
like an Astro van,
hidden
and
out in a little van.
Yeah,
They're
and
like,
then-
go, 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 and the doors slide open, and all like,
Yeah, yeah,
"Whoa,
yeah.
Team Six."
Yeah, just like Police Academy. Oh, Jesus.
You guys tripping and falling down.
Yeah,
Hurry up! He's gonna suck my dick.
and stuff. Or, this didn't last long because of the fights that happened. Or we'd like get a room at a hotel. And then so I would lead you up to the hotel room, and then those guys would be inside the room. So as soon as I walk through and you walk through, they grab you. And then, of course, he's thinking he's getting robbed. So the fight's on.
Were you ever like
And then the sergeant's like, hey, we got to stop that. We can't-
nervous as shit? Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, you just, because you never know who you have.
yeah, like you
And-
get
but-
fucking stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, but they're there just to get the quick money. So, yeah.
Like
Is it-
they're those guys are putting their lives at risk.
How far?
constantly.
Yeah. Prostitution is a very risky.
And then, of course, we
thing
would
to
have to
do.
pick up the women prostitutes in like the other parts of town,
Yeah.
and, the other parts of our district that we patrolled and stuff. So, again, it's a quality of life issue
Mhm.
that we would have to address because you don't, that part, they don't want the homeless people out there prostituting. You
Yeah.
have kids and stuff, you don't, so.
No
we'd have-
prostituting unless you have a house.
Yes. Well, we had all
We have
those
standards.
Well, we had all those Asian massage places too, or modeling studios. And stuff. That's real huge in Houston.
We had one of those here, one of those massage parlors where
Mhm.
they do the nasty and whatnot, and
Yeah.
a local news guy got arrested.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Remember that? That Channel
Yeah.
3 weather guy? I don't remember that guy's name.
Well,
we've had cops arrested doing it.
Fucking A.
So I mean, it's just they go to the Asian massage place,
Yeah.
and get a rub and tug by an Asian girl, but sometimes we shut it down and stay in there, and
Did they show up?
And
Oh.
there's John. Hey,
Mhm.
John, what the? You
Ooh.
working? I mean, sort of. She-
I am now.
this is uncomfortable.
Hey guys,
So
see you at the Christmas party next week.
bring this up to the wife.
Man. Oh my God, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Goodness.
And so, I've made the comment about like my trial marriage and stuff. Well, I met my ex-wife when I was on nights. She was an officer, and so we started.
She was?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
and I fished off the company pier.
You did what now? Fished off the company pier?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
And so, I mean, we worked together at the same station and stuff like that. And she, I should have listened to my buddy, my classmate, that was behind me in the class that came to the station. He's like, hey, dude, just be a boxer with her, man. Stick and move, because we didn't really get along, man.
I'm
You
sorry,
and-
that
you
just
and your
registered
current
in my
wife?
head.
Stick and move. And, she didn't like my, I'm sarcastic, and she didn't like my sense of humor and stuff. But like I said, I had girls before, but I never really had a real girlfriend
Yeah.
before her.
Well, it's hard when you're riding around getting deaf guys in the car.
Yeah. Well, this was when I was still on.
I'm just
but
fucking
yeah,
kidding.
dude. Once you get that deaf mute, you know.
God,
Yeah,
oh man, I'm gonna. Do you regret telling me this story yet?
Whatever. I mean, it's no worse than any other story I'm talking about. Yeah. And so, so we start dating, and my buddy's like, dude, don't, and so, I fall in love. I ask her to marry me. We get married, and, and then I go to this day shift squad, and, she goes the evenings, and because we were both on nights and stuff, and we didn't get along well. It's not that we fought, but like I said, we just didn't gel.
This is your
My ex-wife.
Ex-wife. You just
My
two
ex-wife.
different
Okay.
persons.
Yeah, like I said, she didn't like my sense of humor because I was sarcastic, and and some of the stuff I said was kind of rude and mean because
Well, again, you were younger. You were at a different stage.
yeah, and again, immature. I was immature by far in relationships because I'd never really been in one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just had I'd do my one night stands and a couple night stands or whatever. She was the first one I ever brought around my parents.
Yeah.
And of course we got married and stuff, and like I said, we just didn't gel. And, like one bad joke I made was, of course, I had a different last name than what I did now until my dad adopted me. And she made like a comment, was like, I kind of like that other last name better. Well, I was like, well, you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to get my other one either. And just jokes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm that guy, hey, this is not the time for that
What?
joke. Yeah. So, and of course she kind of cried. I'm like, I didn't mean it was just a joke. And,
She cried.
and I don't know why we didn't work out. And, well, so I go to the day shift squad and I'm running around with these guys, and she goes to this evening squad. And, we're already having our issues. And, so she, ends up cheating on me with her sergeant.
Shit
Ugh.
balls, God!
Yeah.
Somebody else is fishing off the same pier.
Yeah. And, but at the time I didn't know, of course.
Yeah.
It was all after the fact. And, and what led to us separating was her birthday was up, and she was going out. And I'm like, okay, where are we going? She goes, I'm going out with, who I work with. And, you really don't like them. But, I'm like, so what you're saying is you're going out on your birthday, but I'm not invited and I'm your husband? She's like, well, you don't really like like the people I hang out with. And I'm like, okay, whatever, And then I guess, okay, well, then you can come. I was like, no, it's too late now. You don't want me to be there. Well, 2:00 in the morning, she ain't home. 3, she's not home. 4, she ain't home, right? And so I'm calling her, nothing, no answer, whatever. Then I start calling the station. Hey, man, have you heard anything from her? Did she get arrested for like a DWI or, They're like, no, trouble in the household apparently now. And she finally calls me back at like 7 in the morning.
Oh my God.
And says she passed out and threw up all over herself. And, we lived on the south side of Houston then, in a suburb of Pearland. And so I was like, where are you? I'll get somebody to meet you, drive. She's like, no. And so I meet her, we get back to the house, and we were closer to one freeway where that's how we came home. Well, she was coming from the other freeway. And where I met her was she was coming from this other freeway. And lo and behold, once it all comes out and everything, even though she says she never cheated on him with me, but he lived on the other side of that freeway,
Yeah.
like further away. That's how you would get to his place.
So your instinct is
Well,
you're-
yeah.
you're-
But at the time, not knowing, I'm like, I don't know,
Yeah.
And then so, I think she goes to work then, because she was on evenings or whatever. So whatever. So I go hang out with my, and this is when I didn't really hang out with a lot of cops. I hung out with my judo buddies and stuff still. I hung out with my classmate and stuff like that. But the majority of the time, I got away from work. And that's the other thing, man. You can't be a cop 24/7. You need that downtime. You
Yeah.
need to be away from it and how you deal with stuff, Yeah, I just saw this traumatic thing, and then you come in, I'm hanging out with you, and you're telling me what you just saw. So it's just kind of, so I'd get away and I'd go hang out with my.
Yeah, it's a perpetual cycle.
Yeah. And so it was, I hung out mostly with, my martial art buddies. And even though I wasn't doing it, but I still hung out with them.
Yeah.
And so my buddy goes, dude, you need to leave her. She's cheating on you. I'm like, no, she's not, man. She just got drunk and passed out and didn't come home. Dude, are you that stupid? Like I said, my job is common sense, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, dude. She's cheating on you. Get out. And so,
How was he so sure?
Was it just based on what you that night?
Yeah,
told him?
just everything. I guess
I would
just-
have honestly, if I would have heard the fact of her not wanting you to really come,
and that's
that
what
would
it
have
was.
been my first red flag.
Yeah,
I've been like,
and,
oh,
and
no,
that's what he
she's
was saying.
cheating
She
on
didn't want you to go out on her with her birthday, right? I'm like, yeah, and then she didn't come home. Yeah, she's cheating on you, dude. Get
Yeah.
out. And so, I come home, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna move in with my parents. I said something's going on here, and we need to, figure it out and stuff like that. And so, like I said, this is 2.5 years. That's why I call it a trial run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trial marriage. And so, we end up getting divorced. I go through, and like I said, depression runs in my family, so I go through depression. I tank. And when I have depression, I don't eat. There's some people who gorge.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't eat because my stomach's all jacked up. Of course, the guys I'm working with, they're like, I'm walking around with a Pepto bottle. And they're like, dude, man, why don't you just put that in your gun holster instead of your gun? You're using that more than that gun,
Yeah.
And of course, jokes, and that's
Yeah.
how we are and stuff. So I'm dealing with that, and like how you asked, like, how do you keep that from your personal life affecting your work life?
Yeah.
Well, I'm depressed. I lost like 20 pounds. I'm walking around with Pepto, and I'm not a big guy, and for me to lose 20 pounds,
It's noticeable.
That's
yeah,
very,
especially,
significant.
where I had to take my belt and use my knife to make new holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from like 170 down to like 145 or something.
Yeah.
And so, people are worried, checking on me and stuff. And well, I'm going to psych services, like I said, because I knew something's up and I had to address it. So we get divorced. And we also, a thing that we would do, we played midnight softball.
No shit.
Yeah.
I bet that's fun.
It was a blast, so it was all cops, all the different stations on Tuesday night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to stop by throughtherough.net to check out our latest episodes, merchandise, and hit that donation tab to keep content coming. See you again next week.